Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're doing another tier list because ranking is kind of my brand at this point. The people seem to sort of eat it up every time I make a video like this, and I thought, why not make another one? And today, we will be talking about blonde K-pop idols. Specifically, idols that I think are kind of natural blondes. And I know what you're thinking, but Juice, no idols are natural blondes, and yes, I know this, I'm Asian too. I know that a good 95% of Asian people just do not have naturally blonde hair, but that's not exactly what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about K-pop idols that have dyed blonde hair and tier ranking them based on how natural it looks, I guess. So yeah, disclaimer before we start, if I put anybody in the lower tiers, it's not because I think they're ugly, it's because I just don't think they really suit blonde hair. This is going to be a fun video, I'm actually pretty excited to make this one, and without further ado, we should probably get into the tier explanations. So the bottom tier is the blonde hates them tier, which is for idols who I think blonde, kind of does them dirty. Something about blonde hair just does not suit these idols, and it's like maybe even their worst color. It might feel a little bit slanderous for the idols in this tier, so to make it up for them in each of their segments, I'm going to talk about colors that I think suit them a lot better. But yeah, blonde for these idols, it's definitely a no-go. They should not, no. You know, right above that we have the could be better tier, which is pretty self-explanatory. Blonde doesn't look awful on them, but it could be a lot better in probably any other color. And maybe it's just their general, overall beauty that makes them look good with blonde hair, not the actual hair itself that looks good on them. Above that tier we have the looks good but not natural tier, which is also very self-explanatory. They probably look really good if they're blonde, but it's not to the extent where I would go out of my way to call them a natural blonde. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think these idols look amazing as blondes, but their blonde looks weren't necessarily earth-shattering to me, because the earth-shattering blondes belong in the Bighit tier. I don't know how the rest of you feel about Bighit, maybe you love her, maybe you hate her, but to be frank, I do not really care, because blonde hair on this girl, wow, stunning. Truly, just stunning, stunning, stunning. Like, it's honestly just self-explanatory at this point. All of the idols in this tier just shifted my plane of existence when they went blonde. It's too good, it's actually indescribable. If you get it, you get it, and if you don't, idols in the Bighit tier look really good blonde. That's all you need to know. And that just about wraps up the explanation, so I think without further ado, we can start talking about the first idol, so let's go. So the first idol that we're going to be talking about is Momo from Twice, and Momo is going in the could be better tier. Don't get me wrong, I love Momo, she's one of my biases in Twice, the other one is Jonghyun, but blonde is not her best color. Momo looks decent as a blonde. I think in I.O.I era she pulled it off pretty well actually, but I just can't when she has eras like Feel Special and Fancy right there. Black is definitely her best hair color, and while some people might call that basic and boring, I view it as more so classic and stylish. And while I wouldn't be mad if I saw her go blonde again, I don't really understand what's the point because it takes so much less effort to keep her hair a darker color, and she looks so much better in those. Momo is gorgeous in any hair color because she's Momo, but blonde is not her best, and that's all I have to say on that. Next up we have Jonghyun from 17, and Jonghyun is going in the looks good but not natural tier. Does Jonghyun look good blonde? Yes, but am I falling over myself when I see him in blonde hair? Not necessarily. This might actually be an unpopular opinion, but I think that Jonghyun's best hair color is probably dark brown, and specifically I'm referencing him in Left and Right era. While Left and Right is definitely one of my least favorite eras as a whole, and it's definitely in my bottom 3 title tracks for the group, I cannot deny that Jonghyun looked freaking fantastic in this dark brown hair. I was blown away, I was gobsmacked, I was too stunned to speak, and I just don't feel the same way when he goes blonde. I mean, he does look good blonde, and Fear era is just proof of that, but I wouldn't say it's his best, and I wouldn't say that it's top tier either. After Jonghyun we have Hongjoong from Ateez, and I'm sorry, but Hongjoong is going in the blonde hates them tier. I talked about blonde Hongjoong with one of my IRL friends, and we both agreed that it's one of his worst hair colors, and I didn't realize that so many people think that it's his best hair color. Maybe I'm just biased against blonde Hongjoong, because I first stand Ateez back in late 2020, maybe early 2021, so that means my first comeback with them was Firework, and that's when Hongjoong had the infamous blonde bowl cut. I don't know how everybody watching feels about bowl cuts, but personally, I kind of despise them, and since Hongjoong is one of my all-time favorite biases, seeing my first comeback with the group be that styling for him, I was a little bit upset. And maybe that's clouded my judgment because every single time I see Hongjoong in blonde now, I'm just like, no, we don't need this. So now that raises the question, what are Hongjoong's best hairs? And the answers for that question are WayV and Deja Vu era. The red, the orange, those colors on Hongjoong are fan-frickin-tastic. He looked too good to be true. Maybe it's something about the red tones that just like match his complexion or something. I'm no fashion expert, but I'm an expert at knowing what I like, and I really liked Hongjoong in red hair. If Hongjoong wants to go blonde, I'll support him, but personally, I would just rather see him in red any day of the week, because to me, this is the supreme hair color for him. There's no other options. After Hongjoong, we're going to be talking about Jinsol from Loona, and Jinsol is going in the looks good but not natural tier. Don't get me wrong, I definitely think that Jinsol has legend status when it comes to her as a blonde, but I wouldn't really say that she looks naturally blonde. Of course, no idol is actually naturally blonde, but something about Jinsol in blonde looks a little bit like you can definitely see that she suits darker hair more. It's kind of weird to me because I feel like Jinsol goes blonde every other day at this point, and I think it's literally because her being blonde is part of their whole lore. And I do not know why they tried to do that, because that doesn't seem very healthy for her scalp. It cannot be healthy when you're bleaching your hair every month, maybe even every other week, and that's what she had to do since her debut all the way until Butterfly era. I still think that she looked great as a blonde. I mean, Girlfriend era was completely iconic. And maybe it's just because I'm thinking about her scalp, but I'm glad that she's not doing blonde that much anymore. Next up, after Jinsol, we're going to talk about Liz from IVE, and Liz, come on now, she is going in the top tier. I just think that some people were born with the wrong hair color, and Liz is one of them. She should have been born blonde. Usually, unless your name is Jinsol or now Liz, if you're blonde for your debut, your first comeback, you're not going to be blonde. But Starship definitely knew what they were doing, not making her change her color, because this is top notch. I don't know what else to say. She looks great, she looks cute. I think that blonde suits her face super well, and I'm glad that whoever her stylist is realized that she has a color that works for her, because a lot of these stylists, even other stylists within Starship, have been doing their idols dirty for a long time. I don't know if you guys know Cravity. Cravity is the 4th gen boy group under Starship Entertainment, and if you guys know Hyungjun, the former X1 member in Cravity, I'm glad that whoever styled him for Adrenaline did not style Liz. Liz has a great stylist, and I think credit should be given where credit is due. I'd love to sit down and just have a coffee with them and tell them how great they are, because they deserve it. I mean, look at Liz. She looks great. Next up, we have Seulgi from Red Velvet, and as a Revelove, I'm gonna be honest, no. None of Red Velvet suit blonde hair. It does not. Like, blonde does not treat them well. And to think they had an era where every single one of them had blonde hair, Ice Cream Cake. Oh my god, I'm glad I wasn't a K-pop stan during that time. Don't get me wrong, if you go to Google right now and search up Seulgi Red Velvet Blonde, you'll get some good pictures where she actually looks great in blonde hair. But it's only in pictures where she looks good in blonde. If you look at any video where she's dancing, you'll understand what I mean. It might look good in still shots, but in movement, the message did not translate the same way. Thankfully, SM took note of that, and Seulgi hasn't been blonde for however long now, and I hope it stays that way. The only hair color that Seulgi should keep forever is orange, because Queendom and Russian Roulette are superior. And I actually think that most Reveloves would agree with me on that. We don't want blonde Seulgi, and since we're on the subject, we don't want blonde Irene, Wendy, Yeri, or Joy either. Love them in any other hair colors, literally any other, but blonde, no. And that's just the truth. Next up, we're going to be talking about Minjae from MCND, of course, but we're actually going to be talking about 2 different blonde hairstyles that he's done before. So firstly, we have Spring Era Minjae, who is going in the Bighit tier, of course. And the second entry is kind of a hidden one, only the true gems are going to know about this one. The next entry is going to be the pre-Move-In Era blonde Minjae, which is going in the Could Be Better tier. Now see, Minjae definitely suits blonde hair, but he suits dirty blonde hair, not beach blonde. Maybe it was just how the dye job was done pre-Move-In Era, because it did look somewhat cheap, and I'm not going to put it in the bottom tier because it's Minjae and he can pull off literally anything. But when Minjae goes blonde, he needs to go a little bit of a darker blonde shade, because fully like bleach blonde is not his best. But him in Spring, this little dirty blonde fresh teen look that he has is absolutely immaculate. And because, you know, this is an MCND themed channel that is centered around Minjae, I've actually gotten a lot of comments about this exact look, saying that he looks like a natural blonde. And maybe that's just the effect of my MCND agenda, but I'd like to think that people came to that conclusion on their own. I think Minjae should do this hair color again for their next comeback, and I don't know why we don't see him in it more often, because all he has to do is not dye his hair and he would look like this because he's a natural blonde. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is Minjae blonde supremacy, and I hope you can all agree with me and see where I'm coming from. I mean, like, this fan cam speaks for itself, come on now. I need to stop myself because I could literally talk about blonde Minjae all day, so let's go on to the next idol now. So second to last, we're going to be talking about Somi, and Somi is also going in the Bighit tier. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, did I like Dum Dum or XOXO? No. but I did watch the music videos several times because of how good she looked. Like, lots of idols suit blonde hair, but not many of them suit it to the extent that Somi does. The only idols that really, truly look like they could be natural blondes are Liz, Somi, Minjae, and our final entry on this list. I'm not trying to say that it's a talent, but it's honestly sort of a talent. Because like Somi genuinely looks like she could be a Barbie doll, I'm not even kidding. And I really, really, really respect that. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of things to say. Okay, let's move on to the final idol. So as I spoiled in the Somi section, Rosé is also going in the Bighit tier. And I have quite literally ran out of good things to say about these idols. Everything that I said in the Liz and Somi section could apply to Rosé. Guys, I'm trying my best, but my creative bank has just ran out, so I'm just gonna say, if you want to know what I have to think about Rosé and Blonde, watch the Somi section, watch the Liz section, and just pretend that I swapped their names for Rosé. And then that's everything that I was going to say about her. To make a long story short, Rosé looks amazing. She looks like she was born as a blonde, and I think that her stylists are amazing. There's nothing else to say. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, let's go on to the outro. So that concludes our video. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to everybody for understanding that I just literally ran out of things to say for Rosé. Let me know in the comment section who your favorite blondes and K-pop are, and let me know what kind of videos you want to see. I know what you're all thinking. Oh my gosh, Juice, where is the Nugudum Iceberg Part 2 video? I'm like so excited for that one. I'm working on it. It's gonna be out maybe within the next 2 weeks because I have spring break next week. Just give me a little bit more time and I'll be able to actually sit down and work on that video. Thank you all again so much for watching, and if you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, I'll see you all next time. Peace out, guys.